My name is Brume. I am a grass cutter. I can cut the grass in the compound.
That is my mother. What is her photo doing here?
Hey there, pour a cup of tea, get comfy, and let your heart listen. The story's about to start. Welcome to Tales Vibe, where laughter and lessons flow together. If you love a good story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more tales every week, and please tell us where you're watching from in the comments. We'd love to know where our story family is tuning in from. Brume wiped the sweat from his forehead as he pushed his grass-cutting tool along the quiet street in Warri. He was only 10, but the weight of responsibility on his young shoulders made him feel much older. His mother, Rose, had fallen seriously ill months ago, and the medicines she needed were far beyond what their small income could cover. Cutting grass for people around the neighborhood was the only way he could support her. He approached a tall, imposing gate, the largest he had seen in the area. Behind it stood a mansion known by many, but entered by few. Brume hesitated for a moment. He had passed this gate several times, but never imagined he would stand before it with his grass-cutting tool, hoping the owner might hire him. Gathering courage, he pressed the doorbell. For a few seconds, there was silence. Then a voice came through the intercom, deep, calm, and unfamiliar. "Who is there?" Brume cleared his throat. "My name is Brume. I cut grass for people. I was wondering if you would like your compound trimmed." There was another long pause. Brume began to shift nervously. He thought the voice would dismiss him like many others had. But then the speaker crackled again. "How much do you charge?" Brume's heart lifted. "Sir, I can trim the entire compound for 1,500 naira. Another pause. Then the gate buzzed and slowly opened. A man stepped out. He was neatly dressed, tall, and carried an air of quiet authority. His expression, however, held a certain sadness. "You may come inside," he said gently. Brume entered cautiously. The compound was expansive, with trimmed shrubs, tall trees, and a calm stillness that felt almost unreal. But something about the place felt empty, beautiful but lonely. "You look tired," the man said. "Have you eaten today?" Brume lowered his gaze. "Not yet, sir." "Finish the trimming," the man said softly. "After that you will eat and I will pay you." Brume nodded, grateful. He began working as quickly and neatly as he could. When he eventually raised his eyes, he noticed the front door slightly open and the man watching him with an unreadable expression. When Brume finished, the man invited him inside to rest. Brume hesitated but followed politely. That was when he saw it, a framed photograph on a table near the stairs. He moved closer. His breath caught. It was his mother, a younger, healthier version of her, smiling brightly. Brume's heart began to pound. Nothing in his world made sense anymore. Brume stood motionless, staring at the photograph. His mother, Rose, looked vibrant and full of life. The sight of her smile, captured so clearly in the frame, made his hands tremble. He gently lifted the photo. He had never seen this version of his mother before. Footsteps approached behind him. Brume turned. The man, Tega, stopped abruptly. His eyes widened at the sight of the photograph in Brume's hands. He set the bottle of water he was holding on a nearby table as if afraid to make any sudden movement. Brume swallowed. "Sir, why is my mother's picture in your house?" Tega stared at the image, then at the boy. His face shifted from shock to disbelief, and finally to a deep, painful sadness. "Your mother?" he whispered. "What is her name?" "Rose Oghene," Brume answered. The name struck Tega visibly. He stepped back, resting one hand on the wall to steady himself. His breathing quickened. "Rose," he repeated slowly, as though saying the name opened old memories he had locked away. Brume watched him anxiously. "Sir, do you know my mother?" Tega nodded, overwhelmed. "Yes. I knew her very well a long time ago." Brume frowned. "How long ago?" Tega studied Brume's face closely, as if seeing something familiar in him. He searched the boy's eyes, the curve of his nose, the shape of his jaw. "How old are you?" he asked quietly. "I am 10, Brume said. Tega sat down heavily. He controlled his trembling hands and looked at Brume with an expression that made the boy's heart tighten. "Where is your mother now?" Tega asked. "She is at home," Brume replied. "She is very sick." Tega's eyes softened with deep concern. "How long has she been ill?" "A while," Brume said. "That is why I cut grass, to buy her medicine." Tega closed his eyes in pain. When he opened them again, tears had formed. "Brume, I need to see your mother. Please take me to her." Brume stepped back slightly. "Why, sir? Why does my mother's picture matter to you?" Tega took a slow, shaky breath. Because there is something your mother never told me. Something I should have known years ago. Brume felt a knot tighten in his chest. What are you saying, sir? Tega's voice shook as he spoke. I am not certain yet, Brume, but I believe I may be connected to you in a way that changes everything. Brume stared at him, breathless. Tega continued quietly. I believe I might be your father. Brume ran home with his heart pounding. Tega's words echoed in his mind. His hands tightened around the paper containing the money and the address the man had given him. He needed answers. Only his mother could give them. He burst into their small room. Mama, he called. I am back. Rose struggled to sit up, coughing deeply before catching her breath. Brume, you are home early. Did something happen? Brume knelt beside her mattress. Mama, I finished the grass job. The man paid me, and he gave me more money for your medicine. Rose's eyes widened. More money? Brume, how much did he give you? Brume opened his hand. 10,000 naira. Rose gasped, frightened. Where did you get this? Tell me the truth. I did not steal it, Brume said quickly. He gave it to me freely. But, Mama, something strange happened. Rose's expression shifted. What do you mean? Brume looked down for a moment, then met her eyes. He has your picture in his house. Rose froze. Her face drained of color. What did you say? She whispered. He has your picture, Brume repeated. A picture from many years ago. You looked happy. And Mama, the man knows your name. Rose covered her mouth as her hands trembled uncontrollably. She attempted to stand but fell back weakly. No, this cannot be happening, she murmured. How did he find us? He did not find us, Brume said softly. I went there to cut grass. Rose stared at him, terrified. Brume, what did he ask you? Did he threaten you? No, Brume said. He cried when I mentioned your name. Rose's breath caught. Tears gathered in her eyes. Mama, who is he? Rose pressed her hands together, struggling to steady herself. His name is Tega Oghene. Brume felt his chest tighten. Mama, he said he might be my father. Rose closed her eyes. She could no longer hide the truth. Brume, she whispered. Tega is your father. Brume felt dizzy. Even though he had suspected it, hearing the truth struck him deeply. Why did you never tell me? Rose looked at him with sorrowful eyes. Because I was forced to leave him. His family did not want me near him. They threatened me, Brume. They threatened to destroy my life if I stayed. Brume held her trembling hands. Mama, what will happen now? Rose looked away, fear clouding her eyes. I do not know, she whispered. But the past has found us, and everything is about to change. Brume sat quietly beside his mother, watching her struggle with the weight of memories she had avoided for 10 years. The room felt smaller than ever. Rose wiped her eyes, trying to steady her breath, but her hands trembled. Mama, Brume said softly, he wants to see you. He said he has been looking for you for many years. Rose closed her eyes. I feared this day would come, she whispered. But I never thought it would happen like this. She looked at the folded paper in Brume's hand, the number and address Tega had written. For a long moment, Rose simply stared at it, as though touching it would reopen every wound she had tried to bury. Brume gently placed the paper beside her. Mama, we need help. And he did not seem angry. He looked hurt. He cried when he mentioned you. Rose's breath caught. A soft, broken sound escaped her lips. He cried? Yes. Rose turned her face away, overwhelmed. I loved him, she confessed. More than anything. Losing him almost destroyed me. But I had to protect you. Brume listened quietly, knowing this was the hardest truth she had ever spoken aloud. After a long silence, Rose wiped her cheeks. Hand me the phone, she said. Brume's eyes widened. He scrambled to get the small mobile phone they kept on the table. Rose dialed the number slowly, her fingers unsteady. The phone rang once. Twice. 3 times. She almost ended the call out of fear. Then she heard it. Hello. Tega's voice came through, filled with tension, hope, and disbelief. Rose froze. For a moment, she could not speak. Hello, he repeated, softer this time. Please, is this Rose? Her eyes filled with tears. Yes, she said faintly. It is me. There was a long silence on the other end, the kind that carried years of unspoken emotions. Rose, Tega's voice trembled. Is it truly you? Are you all right? Brume said you were sick. Do you need help? I can come. Tega, Rose interrupted gently. Please let us talk calmly. I only called because I owe you the truth. No, he said quickly. Not over the phone. Please tell me where you are. I need to see you. I have waited too long already. Rose hesitated, but Brume touched her arm and nodded. She gave Tega their address. I am coming now, Tega said without a second thought. Please do not leave. Please. When the call ended, Rose stared at the phone with shaking hands. Brume sat beside her, tightly holding her fingers. Are you scared? He asked quietly. Yes, she whispered. But I think it is time to stop running. Moments later, footsteps echoed in the corridor outside their room. Tega had arrived, and nothing in their lives would ever be the same again. Tega stood at the doorway, breathing heavily as though he had run the entire distance. When Rose lifted her eyes to meet his, the years between them seemed to fold into a single, overwhelming moment. Rose, Tega whispered, stepping inside slowly, afraid that any sudden movement might shatter what he had found. Rose held the blanket tightly around herself. Tega, it has been a long time. He nodded, eyes fixed on her face. Too long. Then his gaze shifted to Brume, who stood quietly at her side. May I come closer? Rose hesitated, then nodded. Tega walked toward them, his expression full of pain and regret. He knelt beside Rose's mattress, his voice breaking. I searched for you everywhere. I never stopped. Rose looked away. Your family made it impossible for me to stay. Tega swallowed hard. I know now. Brume explained everything he learned today, and it broke me. He exhaled shakily. But right now, your health is the most important thing. Before Rose could protest, her cough returned, deep and heavy. Tega supported her gently until it passed. Rose, you need medical attention immediately, he said firmly. Please let me take you to a hospital. I do not want to be a burden, she whispered. You are not a burden, Tega replied. You never were. Brume helped his mother to her feet as Tega guided them out. Within minutes, they arrived at a private hospital in Warri. Nurses attended to Rose at once, placing her on a bed and connecting her to fluids. A doctor examined her carefully. She is severely weak, the doctor said. Malnutrition and an untreated respiratory infection. We will begin treatment right away. Tega exhaled in relief. Thank you. While Rose rested, Tega and Brume sat in the waiting area. After a long silence, Tega spoke. Brume, I need to ask you something important. Brume looked up nervously. What is it, sir? Tega hesitated. I believe I am your father with all my heart. But for legal reasons, and to protect both you and your mother, we may need a DNA test. Brume's eyes widened. Will it hurt? No, Tega said gently. It is very simple. Just a swab inside the cheek. Brume nodded slowly. If it will help my mother, I will do it. Tega placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Thank you. And no matter what the result says, I care about you deeply. That will not change. A nurse returned moments later. We can take both samples now. Brume followed Tega into a small room. The process lasted less than a minute. The results will be ready in 3 days, the nurse said. As Brume and Tega walked back to Rose's room, Tega looked down at the boy whose life had unknowingly been tied to his. We will face the truth together, Tega said softly. Brume nodded. Together, they stepped into Rose's room, waiting for the days that would define their future. The next morning, sunlight filtered softly into Rose's hospital room. The quiet hum of machines filled the space, and for the first time in a long while, Rose looked slightly stronger. Brume sat beside her bed, peeling an orange the nurse had brought for breakfast. Tega stood near the window, speaking with the doctor in low tones. When he returned to Rose's bedside, his expression was gentle but serious. The doctor says your body is responding well to the treatment, Tega said. But you will need several more days here to fully recover. Rose nodded weakly. Thank you for helping us. Tega shook his head. You do not need to thank me. I should have been here long ago. A quiet tension hung in the air, unspoken fears, unresolved history. But beneath it lay something new, hope. Brume looked between them. Mama, when you get better, what happens next? Rose looked down at her hands. Before she could answer, Tega spoke. I wanted to discuss that, he said carefully. Both of you deserve security and comfort. After you are discharged, I want you to come and stay with me. Rose raised her eyes sharply. Tega, we cannot just. You can, he insisted calmly. My home has more than enough space. And more importantly, I want you both there. You should not return to that small, unsafe room. Not when I can provide a better environment. Rose looked uncertain. Your family, your mother, she made it clear years ago that I was not welcome. Tega's expression hardened slightly. That was then. I am no longer under her control. And what she did to you, the lies, the threats, was wrong. I will not allow her to harm you or Brume again. Brume watched him closely. Sir, are you sure she will not trouble us? Tega placed a steady hand on the boy's shoulder. I promise you this. No one will threaten your mother, and no one will take you away from her. You are safe. Rose's eyes softened with a mixture of relief and fear. Your mother is very powerful, Tega. She may not accept this easily. I will handle her, Tega said firmly. But before I speak to her, I want to make plans for both of you. The DNA results will arrive soon. Once they confirm what I already believe, I will take legal steps to protect you and Brume. Rose blinked. Legal steps? Yes, Tega said. I will ensure Brume's rights are secured formally. And I want to support your treatment fully, without restrictions. Brume leaned closer to his mother. Mama, maybe this is our chance. Rose's eyes filled with tears. She looked at Tega, truly looked, and saw a man who was no longer controlled by fear or family pressure. She nodded slowly. All right, she whispered. We will trust you. A quiet smile touched Tega's face. Then we move forward together, he said. As a family. 2 days passed quietly while Rose continued gaining strength. Brume spent most of his time beside her bed, doing small tasks for the nurses and asking the doctor questions with hopeful curiosity. Tega visited every morning and evening, bringing fruits, books, and anything that might make the room feel a little lighter. But behind his calm presence, a growing tension circled his thoughts. He knew he could not move forward until he confronted the one person who had broken everything years ago, Madame Oghene, his mother. On the third morning, after ensuring Rose was comfortable and Brume was settled with breakfast, Tega stepped into the hallway and drew a long breath. The moment he had avoided for years was finally unavoidable. It is time, he whispered to himself before walking toward the exit. The Oghene family mansion was as imposing as ever. Tega had grown up within its walls, but today the house felt colder than he remembered. The gate opened immediately. His mother had been informed he was coming. Inside, Madame Oghene sat in the elegant sitting room, dressed immaculately as always. She lifted her eyes when Tega entered, and although she tried to hide it, a flicker of unease crossed her face. Tega, she said calmly. You sounded unusually firm on the phone. What is this about? He remained standing. Mother, we need to talk about Rose. Her expression tightened. That name again. I thought that chapter of your life was closed long ago. It is not closed, Tega said evenly. Rose is back, and she was never the villain you painted her to be. Madame Oghene rose slowly, setting down her teacup. Tega, whatever story that girl told you. It was not a story, he cut in sharply. She told me how you and 2 men threatened her, how you forced her to disappear, how you lied to me and destroyed our relationship. Madame Oghene froze, her eyes hardening. I acted to protect you. That girl came from nothing. She would have ruined your future. She was carrying my child, Tega said quietly. The words hit the room like a blow. Madame Oghene's eyes widened. Your child? Yes, Tega said. Brume is 10 years old. I have already done a DNA test. The results come in tomorrow. Madame Oghene's face shifted from shock to disbelief, then panic. Tega, you cannot accept this. They will take advantage of you. They want your wealth. No, he replied calmly. They want safety. They want peace. And I intend to give them both. His mother stepped closer, her voice pleading now. Think carefully, Tega. If you bring them into your life, everything will change. I know, he said. And that is exactly what I want. There was silence, heavy final. Then Tega said the words he had held in his heart for years. Mother, Rose and Brume are my family. You will not harm them again. Madame Oghene's expression broke, not into anger, but into something far more unsettling, fear. And for the first time, she realized she had truly lost control. Tega left his mother's mansion with a heaviness in his chest, yet a strange sense of clarity. For the first time in years, he had spoken without fear. He had defended Rose. He had defended Brume. And he knew there was no going back. When he returned to the hospital, Brume was sitting by Rose's bedside, reading aloud from a small storybook Tega had brought the day before. Rose looked tired but noticeably stronger, her breathing steadier. Brume looked up the moment Tega entered. Sir, you are back. Is everything okay? Tega managed a gentle smile. Yes, everything is fine. How is your mother? Rose turned to him, noticing something different in his expression. You went to see her, she said quietly. Tega nodded. I did. And Rose? I told her the truth. All of it. Rose's fingers tightened around her bedsheet. What did she say? Tega exhaled slowly. She was shocked. She tried to defend her actions. But I made it clear that you and Brume are my priority now. She cannot interfere with our lives again. Rose's eyes softened with relief and sorrow all at once. Tega, I never wanted conflict between you and your mother. There was conflict long before you left, he replied. I just did not see it then. Brume watched them both, sensing the shift in their world, one that felt safer than before. Later that afternoon, the doctor entered with a warm smile. Rose, your treatment is progressing well. You may be discharged tomorrow, but you must continue resting for several days. Brume grinned widely. Mama, you hear? We are going home. Rose smiled, though uncertainty shadowed her face. Yes, but where is home now? Tega stepped forward. Rose, I want both of you to come and stay with me. My home is open to you, permanently if you wish. Rose hesitated. Tega, that is a big decision. I know, he said gently, but I mean every word. He reached into his pocket and removed a small velvet box, one he had held onto for 10 years. Rose's breath caught. Tega, what are you doing? Holding the box carefully, he opened it to reveal a simple, elegant ring. This was meant for you long ago, he said softly. Life separated us, but now that I have found you again, I do not want to lose you. Not ever. Brume stared, eyes wide. Tega continued, voice steady. Rose, when you are strong again, will you marry me? Rose covered her mouth, overwhelmed. Tears filled her eyes, not of pain, but of gratitude and disbelief. She reached for his hand. Yes, she whispered. Yes, Tega. I will. Brume let out a joyful laugh, relief washing over him. Their lives had changed overnight, but for the first time, the future felt bright. Tomorrow, they would leave the hospital. Tomorrow, they would begin again, together. Rose was discharged the next morning. Tega handled every document, every payment, and every arrangement with quiet care, making sure she did not feel overwhelmed. Brume walked beside his mother proudly, holding her bag as though the weight of the world had finally lifted from his shoulders. When they stepped outside, Tega opened the car door for both of them. Brume looked around. Are we going straight to the house, sir? Tega hesitated. Not yet. There is something important we need to do first. Rose's hand tightened slightly. Tega, what is it? He met her eyes gently. My mother wants to see you. And Brume. She asked for a chance to make amends. Rose's breath caught. Are you sure about this? I am, he replied. And I will be beside you the entire time. Brume looked up at his mother. Mama, we can go home later. If Grandma wants to meet us now, maybe it is a good thing. Rose managed a small, nervous smile. All right, we will face it together. The Oghene family mansion felt even more intimidating than Brume remembered from stories he had overheard. High ceilings, polished floors, and art-lined corridors spoke of wealth and influence. But Brume held his mother's hand tightly and kept walking. Madame Oghene waited for them in the main sitting room. She was seated neatly, her posture perfect, her expression unreadable. But when they entered, her eyes softened, something neither Rose nor Brume expected. Tega walked ahead slightly. Mother, thank you for agreeing to this. Madame Oghene nodded slowly. I wanted to see them. Her gaze settled on Rose first. For a long moment, the two women simply stared at one another, one bearing years of regret, the other years of pain. Finally, Madame Oghene spoke. Rose, I wronged you deeply. I acted out of pride and fear. And I destroyed something precious in the process. Her voice trembled slightly. I am truly sorry. Rose swallowed hard. She had imagined anger, accusation, or coldness, but not this. Madame Oghene, I never wished you harm. I only wanted to keep my child safe. Madame Oghene nodded. I understand that now. Then her eyes shifted to Brume. And you must be Brume. He straightened unconsciously. Yes, ma'am. A small, emotional smile formed on her lips. You look so much like your father. Her voice cracked ever so slightly. May I hug you? Brume looked at his mother, who gave him a gentle nod. He stepped forward. Madame Oghene wrapped her arms around him carefully, as though afraid he might vanish if she held too tightly. I am sorry for everything you suffered, she whispered. Brume felt a warmth in his chest. We are starting again, right? He said quietly. She pulled back, eyes shining. Yes, if you will allow it. Tega stood beside them, relieved. The past had been addressed, not erased, but acknowledged. For the first time, the room felt like a place where a family could grow again. The visit to Madame Oghene's mansion marked a turning point for everyone. Rose left the house with her shoulders lighter, the burden of fear finally loosening. Brume walked beside her with quiet excitement, sensing that the world he once knew was giving way to a better one. And Tega, watching them both, felt a peace he had not experienced in years. Over the next few weeks, Rose continued her recovery in Tega's home. The house, once silent and empty, slowly began to feel lived in. Brume's laughter echoed through the hallways. Rose's voice, gentle and warm, brought life back into the rooms. Even Tega's staff noticed the transformation and welcomed the change gladly. During this time, Madame Oghene visited occasionally. She remained reserved, but she carried herself with humility now, choosing her words with care. Brume began to grow comfortable around her, and Rose found herself slowly releasing the bitterness she had carried for so long. One morning, Tega entered the sitting room where Rose and Brume were sharing breakfast. He smiled, took Rose's hand, and said, "I think it is time we set a date." Rose blinked. "A date for what?" Tega knelt beside her chair with a small, joyful laugh. "For our wedding, Rose. You said yes, and I do not intend to wait any longer." Brume clapped instantly, almost spilling his juice. "Mama, we are really doing it?" Rose felt tears gather in her eyes, but this time they were tears of happiness. "Yes," she whispered. "We are." The ceremony was small, just as Rose wanted. They held it in the garden behind Tega's home, a quiet space filled with flowers, simple decorations, and soft music. The atmosphere carried a warmth that had nothing to do with grandeur and everything to do with healing. Brume stood proudly as the ring-bearer, dressed neatly in a white shirt and dark trousers. Madame Oghene attended as well, sitting quietly at the back, her eyes reflecting deep remorse but also gratitude. When Rose walked down the short aisle toward Tega, escorted by Brume, Tega felt his breath catch. She looked healthy, hopeful, and radiant. Rose's gaze met his, full of a love that had survived distance, fear, and years of silence. "Rose," Tega said, taking her hands, "you are my beginning and my second chance. I promise to cherish you and protect this family we are building together." Rose smiled gently. "Tega, you have returned light to my life. I promise to stand with you, now and always." They exchanged rings, sealed their vows with a kiss, and the small gathering burst into quiet applause. Brume hugged both of them tightly, his face glowing with joy. That evening, the three of them sat together on the balcony, watching the soft lights of Warri in the distance. "We really are a family now," Brume said quietly. Tega placed an arm around him. Rose leaned into Tega's shoulder. "Yes," she whispered. "A new life has begun for all of us." And for the first time, their future felt whole. And that's the end of today's tale. We hope it brought a smile, a thought, or a little bit of magic to your day. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, subscribe to Tales Vibe for more weekly tales, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We love hearing from our story family all around the world. Until next time, keep your heart open, your imagination alive, and remember, laughter and lessons always go hand in hand. See you in the next story.